Jacob, son of Isaac and grandson of Abraham, was born into a legacy of God's promises. But he was no stranger to struggle. From his earliest days, Jacob lived up to his name, heel grabber or supplanter. He entered the world gripping his twin brother Esau's heel, already showing signs of his clever nature. As he grew, Jacob became known for his wit, but also for his tendency to deceive. One day, Jacob seized an opportunity that would change his life forever. His father Isaac, now old and nearly blind, intended to give his blessing, the precious blessing reserved for the firstborn, to Esau. Knowing this, Jacob disguised himself as his brother, even wearing animal skins to mimic Esau's hairy arms. Deceiving his father, Jacob received the blessing, making himself the heir of God's promises to Abraham. This act, however, led to intense conflict, with Esau swearing revenge. Terrified, Jacob fled to his uncle Laban's home in Haran, leaving behind his family, his past, and all he knew. In Haran, Jacob faced new challenges. Though he fell in love with Rachel, Laban's younger daughter, he was tricked into marrying her older sister, Leah, first. Serving Laban for years to finally earn Rachel as his wife, Jacob found himself caught in a web of rivalry, deceit, and jealousy within his own household. Over time, he had children with Rachel, Leah, and their maidservants. His family grew, as did his wealth. But tension also grew between Jacob and Laban. Though Jacob used clever methods to multiply his flocks, bitterness lingered, and eventually, God called him to return to his homeland and face the past he had run from. Jacob set out with his family, servants, and herds. But as he neared Canaan, news reached him that Esau was coming to meet him, with 400 men. Fear gripped Jacob's heart. Would Esau take revenge? Desperate, Jacob devised a plan, dividing his people and possessions into two camps, hoping if one were attacked, the other might survive. But beyond his planning, he knew he needed God's help. That night, he prayed earnestly, pleading for protection and reminding God of his promises. Yet, as the night darkened, Jacob found himself utterly alone. Suddenly, a mysterious figure appeared, a man who seemed both powerful and strange. Without a word, this man engaged Jacob in a struggle. In silence, Jacob fought with all his might, not knowing who this stranger was but refusing to surrender. They wrestled through the night, and as dawn approached, the man reached out and touched Jacob's hip, instantly dislocating it. The pain was excruciating, but Jacob, realizing he was not wrestling an ordinary man, clung to his opponent. This was a divine being, a messenger of God, or perhaps God himself. In agony but with fierce resolve, Jacob cried out, "I will not let you go unless you bless me." This was a different Jacob now. No tricks, no deception, just a desperate need for God's blessing. The figure asked him, "What is your name?" A simple yet piercing question. Humbly Jacob replied, "Jacob." Then came the blessing that would redefine his life. "Your name will no longer be Jacob, but Israel," the man declared, "for you have struggled with God and with men, and have prevailed." Israel, meaning he struggles with God, marked a profound change. Jacob, the deceiver, was transformed into Israel, the man who wrestled with God and lived to tell the tale. As dawn broke, Jacob looked up to find his mysterious visitor gone. He was left with a new identity, a profound blessing, and a limp, a lasting mark of his encounter with the divine. Jacob named the place Peniel, meaning face of God, saying, "I have seen God face to face, and yet my life was spared." In the days that followed, Jacob was forever changed. When he finally met Esau, he approached not in fear, but in humility. He bowed 7 times, and instead of revenge, Esau embraced him. It was a moment of reconciliation, not just with his brother, but with his own heart and past. Jacob's journey, from a deceiver to a man of faith and perseverance, was a story of true transformation. He faced his struggles with people, with God, and with his own flawed self. Through his encounter with God, he emerged a new man, blessed and marked, discovering that true strength is found not in schemes but in an honest, heart-wrenching wrestle with God. And from that day forward, he walked with a limp, a reminder of his struggle, his blessing, and his new identity as a man touched by God himself.